how's it going? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and we are looking at today the last story in Usagi Yojimbo's saga, Volume 1. We are looking at Lightning Strikes Twice. This is issue 6 in Volume 3 of Usagi Yojimbo. I just want to say I've been away for a little bit. Been a couple weeks since I put out an episode. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has listened. It means a lot. Check out the Facebook page, Usagi Podjimbo and Usagi Yojimbo Podcast. Rate and review the podcast. Leave feedback on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you want. Ratings and sharing the podcast definitely help the podcast grow. But let's get into it. We got a good episode for you guys and gals today. So, let's get into it. So, our story starts out with a young woman walking through this area. And she notices that there's a bunch of people surrounding her. And they start taking out, swords out of, cane swords and sticks of bundles of sticks. They're taking out swords, and she goes and she swiftly kills these men who are trying to kill her. There's this one scene that I really like. She takes her sword, stabs it behind her, and pulls it out. It's just a really cool, very well drawn scene. And we hear this one guy say, "Boss, Bakuchi wants your head, woman." And the woman says, "I prefer to hold my head, bounty hunter." And they're like, "Insolent, get her, kill her." Which they do not kill her. They actually die themselves in a very, very horrific way, very brutal way, I have to say. She definitely doesn't take any prisoners. And who might we be talking about? This is Inazuma from the Meeting of the Strangers issue. We've met her before. We do not know really anything about her at all. But in this particular issue, we actually will learn something about her. Then we get our little title sequence, Lightning Strikes Twice. Usagi's just minding his own business, walking through the streets to the next town. He's holding a walking stick, chewing on a wheat or some grass or something. And he notices, there's a commotion up the street, What's going on exactly? Usagi looks and he's like, uh-oh, that's not good. Everybody is shocked. And they're like, "We just found the bodies." The peasants, they say, "We just found the bodies here. We don't know what's going on." No doubt they were massacred by a horde of warriors, apparently. And Usagi notices that, there's cane swords around, there's katanas, stuff like that. Not ordinary peasants carry all this stuff. He notices that the cuts on their bodies are all identical swings from the same swordsman. I've seen wounds like this before. I know this sword style. And we see the shock look on the people's face, the peasants' faces. Usagi takes out his sword, swings it, and all of them run off except for this one guy. He looks like a Buddhist monk, and he kind of looks a little suspicious, I have to say, because when we see all their shocked faces, he has a shocked face too, but he has a little bit of energy coming off of him, he knows something. I feel like he knows something. And Usagi says, "I guess it was my imagination. I must be getting a little jumpy." And he's like, "Well, there's nothing I can do now. The authorities should be arriving soon. I'll let them handle this mess." And Usagi kind of glances back at him, and this monk walks away and Usagi walks away. Something really is afoot here, I feel like, with this monk guy, which we've seen monks before in this series, and a lot of times, half the time, they're bad guys. We transition from that where Usagi notices this place out in the middle of nowhere. He's like, "Oh, this looks like a decent place to stay for the night." And we see Usagi walk up to this door. He goes to grab it. He hears somebody talking in this building, and then we hear I was a child. When I was a child, my father called me Bara no Hime, which means rose princess. You are delicate as a flower, he would say. But then he would turn around to others and add, with a laugh, but watch out for her thorns. She is very, very spirited. Usagi ends up walking in because he is welcome into the building. We see these 5 individuals. One is the woman from before, and 4 other men. Usagi walks in. He's like, I half expected to meet you again. I recognized your handiwork from earlier, Inazuma, which we met Inazuma back in the Mirage Run. The very end of the Mirage Run, I think I want to say. Inazuma says, I regret when we last met, I did not get your name. And we get the whole spiel of, my name is Miyamoto Usagi. I was a vessel for Lord Mifune in the northern province. And Inazuma says, hey, come in, Usagi, come sit down. I'm just telling my life story. And Usagi's like, no, I don't want to interrupt. And she's like, no, come sit down. Come sit down. Let me tell you a story. We come to find out that Inazuma was actually the daughter of an ambitious samurai when she was young and pretty, and she caught the eye of a high-ranking counselor, and we find out counselor of their lord, and he is like a really, really old guy, a lot older than her father, and he basically catches the eye of Inazuma. And he was like, I would like to get to know you a little bit more. And he tries to marry her. And Inazuma's father is, however, he is ecstatic with this. And he's like, with this possibility of basically getting more status as a samurai and stuff like that. It would honor the family, stuff like that. And something was quickly negotiated. But a new samurai walks in and catches Azuma's fancy. This samurai was very handsome. His name was Hayashi, and Hayashi was very handsome, newly arrived, and he expressed a desire to marry Inazuma. And Inazuma's father definitely did not agree with this. He was like, nope, you're not going to marry this man. He is a lower samurai, and you're not going to put this on our family. Hayashi is no good at all, and Inazuma actually wanted to commit shinju, I believe I'm saying that right, which is lover's suicide, but Hayashi would not hear of it, and so the night of her marriage, she actually eloped with her love. Then we go from that. After they leave and elope, everything is fine and dandy. They were in love. They were happy traveling, looking for someplace to start their life together. And then the money ran out, and I can't pronounce his name, huh? I got a little tongue tied there. Sorry about that. Hiyashi sought a position as a retainer for various lords, but with the shogun's peace upon the land, that didn't work out so well. The money started to dry up, and Hayashi went to go look for other things. He was unemployed, like many other samurai, but eventually they made it to the Edo, the capital Edo, new capital Edo. And in this scene, we see the transition of what Hayashi used to look like and what he looks like now. He very much looks unkept and unsavory. We find out that Hayashi, he actually had not very good luck in Edo. He was a very skilled swordsman, and he tried to use his sword skills to put on shows, very much like what's her name? Kitsune? Yeah, Kitsune with the tops. And that had no luck whatsoever. And then Inazuma had the idea of hey, there are not many swords women out there. What if you taught me how to use a sword, perform sword tricks, stuff like that, taught me the way of the samurai? that maybe we could actually start making some money. And that's what she actually does. She adopts the stage name Inazuma, which is lightning flash, and creates an act that thrills people, which we get to see some of her act and whatnot. And we find out that Hayashi, he is it's not a Hayashi, it's Haishi. Haishi is his name. Haishi. I know I was saying Hayashi. We find out that Haishi is actually spending all their money at nighttime on the gambling, like this gambling place, and he is losing all of his money, but he's losing just enough to not get any like debt. And we find out that the gambler Masakazu, he runs the largest gambling house in Edo, and his father is boss Bakuchi. And we know Bakuchi, from the meeting of the strangers. I believe they reference him slightly, sort of, if I remember correctly. I think, but he's basically like a big old mob boss. And yeah, so we go from there. We find out that the new year is coming. It was fast approaching. Inazuma comes back from a hard day, and she's like, "No, I'm not going to give you the money I earned." Haishi, he's like, "Come on, give me the money. Give me the money. You know I got this, Inazuma. I got this." She refused. He ends up beating her, and she goes to threaten him, and he's like, "Come on, go ahead, kill me. Try and kill me. You don't got the nerve to kill me," she says. And he was right. She did not have the guts to kill him. He takes the coin. She stays there crying. She says, it was out of duty or devotion. Was it pride? She says, was it out of duty or devotion? Was it pride? Was I so unwilling to admit that I had been wrong? I abandoned my family for Haishi, and or was it because no matter how much he abused me, how far down he dragged me deep inside, I still loved him? And that's very much like that's in a lot of relationships, especially when relationships come like really abusive. Like, it's very, very hard to get out of like a relationship and stuff like that. So I can definitely side with Inazuma in this, because I very much relate to Inazuma in this situation, being in an abusive relationship before. But having the trouble, wanting to stay because you do still technically love that person and care for that person, even though they've done terrible things to you. It's very, very hard to really do the right thing and leave that horrible, horrible situation. And I do feel like Stan Sakai really does, in this aspect, really does show what a horrible and abusive relationship is like, and doesn't really pull any punches, I have to say, in this scenario, because Haishi is very much wrong in this situation. Very, very wrong, I feel like. So Hisashi, I don't know why I keep getting his name wrong. Hisashi, sorry about that. I'm sorry about the mispronunciations. It's late right now, and I'm recording at this moment. But he goes back to the gambler and back to the gambling house. He basically gambles all their money away, and he's like, "Man, this dice have been against me all night." He goes and throws the dice. Haishi does. And he's like, it cracks. He finds out that actually the dice are weighted. Bum, bum, bum. And he's like, "You take me to your boss right now. Take me to him. We need to go discuss something." And we find out that he wants to basically blackmail the big boss in town, which doesn't go well for him. Hisashi is like, I'm going to blackmail you and whatnot. And he's like, then the big boss is like, yeah, okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play Haicho, which is the game that Hisashi has been playing this whole time. And Hisashi is like, what? I don't understand what's going on. He's like, roll the dice. If you win, I'll kill you quickly. But if I win, you'll linger for days. But you're still going to die, is what he says. He's like, you can't be serious. And, oh boy, he is serious. And Hisashi he is found dead 4 days later. So he was definitely killed slowly. Inazuma finds him. Something in her heart hardened that day. And, she says, I need to be alone for a while. We find out that she walks past these guys, talking. Oh, there's the girl swords woman, she's pretty good, she show us a trick or two. She gets really, really mad and storms off. It takes her about 5 days to find out the circumstances and the name of the one behind Hisashi's death. And she does that, which is a very cool scene. It's snowing outside. She finally meets the big boss man. And he's like, what do you want, girly? You don't even look like you have any money. We can do other things maybe as a form of payment. Would you like to come gamble with us? And we see these guys and they're playing Chohan, the dice game that they were playing earlier. And we see this guy go through the window. Inazuma comes out through the door. And they're all shocked. And she's like, I am Inazuma. I've come to take Masakazu's head. I have no interest in any of you. Get out of here now, and you won't die, basically, is what she says. They're like, what? You're crazy. We don't need to listen to you because you're a woman. We're going to take you down easily. She's after the boss, apparently, because she is Hisashi's wife. And she ends up taking them out. And oh, boy, does she show them no mercy, I have to say. She's screaming. She's like, where is he? Where is he? And she just takes all these guys out. There's one scene, a very dynamic scene, where she takes all these guys out, a couple of guys. She throws open this door, takes out some more guys, and she finds Masakazu. She finds him, and she said, the man who stayed to defend you are all dead. He's like, what? What do you want? What do you want? Hi, Cho. And you hear a what? As somebody reaches for the dice and the cup. And we see that Inazuma has the cup, and she says, hi, Cho. And she kind of rattles the cup. He's like, no, please, no. And she slams the cup down. She says, hi, Cho, call it. Cho, hi, no, hi, Cho, no, I don't know what to do. And he freaks out, and the cup is lifted, and she just slaughters him. She kills him before he can even get to see if it was Hai or if it was Cho. We transition from that, and we find out that it was at this story took place 6 months ago, and Bakuchi is determined to assassinate me. After all, it would not do his reputation any good to have it known that a woman killed his son and got away with it. And we see her at the it looks like at the gravestone or grave of Hisashi, her husband, and she leaves. I didn't notice this before, but she leaves the head of the guy she killed, which is very, very much makes a statement. I feel like she's out for more blood. She means business. And Inazuma says, the sun is almost up. I've been talking all night, and I've got to go so far. I suggest you don't follow me. Assassins are all around. It was nice to meet you, Miyamoto Usagi. They say their goodbyes, and Usagi goes to touch one of the guys, and he's like, such a tragic tale, huh? And we come to find out that this one guy that Usagi touches actually falls over and knocks over all the other men, and they are all dead with the death skulls up. And Usagi says, they were all dead this whole time, but Inazuma, and he turns around and he looks, and Inazuma is gone. And that is the end of this particular story. And oh boy, was it a story. I feel like this was a really, really good reintroduction to Inazuma. Because, we left with a lot the last time we saw her. A lot of questions that were unanswered. We get a whole origin story for her in one issue. And man, it's such a sad origin story. Such a... She's very much such a... I don't want to say like a relatable character, but she is very much a character that you can very much sympathize with, I feel like. And she is very much in the right, I feel like, as well, taking her revenge, even though Hisashi did all those terrible things to her by beating her, taking all of her money and stuff like that. She deep down still loved him for whatever reason. She still loved Hisashi. And she's hunted till this day, which is crazy to think about. But man, such a good read. I really, really enjoyed this one. I didn't know what to expect going into it. I knew we were going to meet Inazuma again when I first read this, but I didn't realize we were going to get like her backstory in one issue. Very well told. I feel like the action was chef's kiss on point in this issue. Very much interesting to see like Usagi took a back seat for this whole story. Like Usagi was just listening to the story the whole time, and the plot twist to see like, oh man, like the men that he was sitting around are all dead, and he didn't know they were all dead, which is like crazy to think about. Like Usagi being such a honed, skilled samurai, with his honed super senses and whatnot, of Usagi being able to hear people really well, sense things, stuff like that. And he couldn't even sense that all these men around him were dead. Like, that's how skilled Inazuma is, I feel like. Maybe she's even better than Usagi, But yeah, very, very good issue. And a very good way to like end like the first volume of Usagi Yojimbo Saga, I feel like, because it leaves you with kind of a cliffhanger and kind of like, oh man, where's Inazuma going? Where's Usagi going? What's going to happen? Obviously Inazuma is going to pop up again. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one, even though I kept mispronouncing Hisashi's name all the time. It was Hisashi, so whatever. I could not get his name to pronounce it correctly at all, but that's just me. I apologize for that. Sorry for the inconvenience and mispronouncing the name. Not inconvenience. I don't know what you would call it. Just mispronunciation of the name. But yeah, I will try better. But that's me. I mess up on a lot of names, but try to move past it. I try to do better. But yeah, this issue is so good, and I can see why so many people like it. So Inazuma is such a riveting character, and to a sense, such a relatable, riveting character. Such a strong female character, which that's a rare thing to get sometimes in comic books. Is a strong female character that can hold her own with the main character, because a lot of times female characters are kind of pushed to the side and are very much in like supporting roles almost sometimes. But in Usagi, they don't really have that too much. But man, to see one who can stand up to Usagi, and probably beat him in a fight, who knows, is really, really cool to see. But I just want to say thank you guys for listening to the podcast. It means a lot. Yeah, and we're going to be moving on to Usagi Yojimbo Saga Volume 2. And that's going to be a doozy, I feel like, recovering that one next time. Because I think we're going to be getting the grass cutter soon. If I remember correctly off the top of my head. If you want to leave feedback, you can do so on the Facebook page. Or you can check me out on Instagram at Otaku Mike. I'm over there on Instagram. Hit me up on there. Leave me feedback on Spotify. I'll get back with you. I'll talk with you if you want. And leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Stay safe. Make sure to go read some Usagi Yojimbo. Peace out, guys.